ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजाः पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। First of all, a very happy Diwali to all of you. I am just touched by your grace that on Diwali night, I'm sure each one of us has a whole bunch of things to get done, and you chose to spend time here about hearing about Sri Paduka from Paduka Sahasram. So I'm very grateful to you. What we're going to do is look at a few verses, spend some time. I don't know how big the group will become. Depending on that, we may have some interactive back and forth. Otherwise, it's hard to manage. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to repeat what you heard from Shamakund Prabhu during Yatra about the history of Sri Vedanta Deshika and how Paduka Sahasram came into being within 3 hours, and I've texted a few things to you. So let me share my screen and then we'll take it from there. Okay, what do you see? Oops. 1 second, there it is. All right, you're able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. Thank you. This is a picture of Sri Vedanta Deshika, who is the incarnation of Lord Balaji's bell. So bell is something that rings nice, clear, and loud. And all of his works, which I haven't read, I know some of them, they are so exquisite, they're clear, but they're also not necessarily easy to pronounce. These are all raptures of his ecstasy in his love for the Supreme Lord. And Paduka Sahasram is one thing that I came about as a matter of reading Ramayana over the years. And in some conversation with Shamakund Prabhu, he very kindly gifted me the Paduka Sahasram, which was written or translated into English. And it has become a cherished gift for me. So I am very grateful to him for sort of helping spark that interest. So that's something I've been studying for about 2 years now. And somehow, to my surprise, during the yatra, our spiritual master made it a service for me to speak or share from Paduka Sahasram for about 3 sessions. So I said I'd be taking it as a special service of His grace upon me. So since the topic is about Paduka, and the Padukas hold the feet of the Supreme Lord, or for that matter, the feet of the great Acharya, the spiritual master. So without offering obeisances to his lotus feet, nothing can begin nor nothing can be accomplished. Something Maharaj has been, is very, very kind upon me to encourage in many, many ways the study of Ramayana, the study of Paduka Sahasram. And he has never said, oh, maybe read this or don't read this. And even last night, he sent some encouraging message and gave me some service related to Ramayana. So I take it as a very special blessing. And after all, the Guru or the Guru Tattva is represented by Sri Hanumanji, who is one of my heroes and I look up to, I pray to, and I seek inspiration from. So gathering with you, I take that as a special blessing upon myself. So each one of you being here is very, very special and a special blessing for me. When we go to a temple, especially South India, but that happens in ISKCON temples also, after having darshan, the pujari will come and place the shatari over our head. And for a very long time, I did not understand what it is until later, that on top of the shatari, you see there are 2 sandals or padukas. And basically, every devotee, every visitor is graced on their head by this paduka. So Vedanta Deshikan, in his ecstasy of glorifying the previous acharyas, wrote the Paduka Sahasram, and it has different levels of meanings. First is that he wrote it as a glorification of Paduka, for sure, because it's called Paduka Sahasram. But he treats Paduka as a consort of Lord Ramachandra or Lord Ranganath. Depends on the verse, but the consort of the Lord. So instead of making them inanimate, he refers to Paduka as Paduka Devi. So all the verses we will hear, you visualize that she is a consort, the feminine energy of the Lord, Paduka Devi. Another is, it's a glorification of an Acharya in the Sri Vaishnava tradition by the name Nammalvar. I think the another name for him is Shatagopan. So we'll and this is called Shatari, what you're seeing. The word actually is Shata Ari. We know the word Ari means enemy or killer, like Lord Krishna is called Murari, the killer of the Mura demon. And so Shata is wickedness or any crookedness in us, in the conditioned living being. The Padukas, by decorating someone's head, they kill or remove all sorts of duplicity, wickedness, crookedness from the person. And that is why it is called Shatari. Another name for Nammalvar is Shatakopan. Kopa means anger. And Shatakopan means he is angry or he has this fiery attitude towards wickedness and crookedness, which is another way of saying that he removes all of one's wickedness. Another level of meaning is that the entire Paduka Sahasram is written because it's a glorification of Nammalvar. It is written in the spirit of glorifying the Guru. So whatever you hear about Paduka parallelly applies to the spiritual master and the saintly devotees. So as a super poet and devotee, he wrote these 1008 verses in what he calls 32 paddhatis. We call them cantos or chapters, but a paddhati literally means step. Now, the beauty of the poetry is that Padukas take steps. And so there are 32 steps. We don't have time for it today, and I'm not an expert necessarily at the Vishishtadvaita philosophy, but there is meaning for the 32. It follows exactly along the Vishishtadvaita philosophy, why 32 steps, etc. But the 1008 are distributed in these 32 paddhatis. We are going to primarily hear from a paddhati called Ratna Samanya Paddhati. So there are different names for the paddhati. The first one is called the initial or the beginning of Ranganath or Lord Ramachandra taking a step. Then he goes into the shape, then the pollen, or called paraga, the pollen on the padukas and the pollen of the padukas. Then there is something called Abhisheka Paddhati. When the padukas were placed on the throne of Ayodhya and Bharata and everyone else did Abhisheka, then he goes into these many verses describing what happens during that Abhisheka. And if you study it, it will stretch your imagination, it will stretch your limits of the heart to such a degree that one cannot imagine that such kind of realizations are even humanly possible. We're followers of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and when we read their works, we have similar experiences of how detailed, how far-reaching, and how deep their realizations are. Today being Dipavali, and we're starting on such a day, I thought instead of starting from the beginning, we're going to take some verses from Ratna Samanya Paddhati. Samanya means ordinary or in general, and Ratna are the jewels studded on the Paduka. So he says that the Paduka is studded with varieties of jewels like diamonds and emeralds and sapphires and rubies, etc., pearls. But he's not going to speak of the jewels specifically. He's going to speak about them in general, like a collective body. So he calls it Ratna Samanya Paddhati. And there are wonderful verses. So most of what we're going to hear today, maybe next week also, will be from Ratna Samanya Paddhati. And because there are 3 sessions, we'll see how far we go and what the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord finally ordains for us. And where this will go, I have no idea. But I'm committed to being in your association for at least 3 sessions. And from then we'll see what the divine indication is. But we're going to start with the Abhisheka Paddhati. Here's what I'm going to do. There is the verse here, there is the translation. Hold off. Let's hear the verse first. I've some friends of mine I've requested, and they've kindly recorded so that we can hear the verse. I'll play it once. We'll hear the verse. We'll go through the translation. Then we'll hear it again so that with the meaning, it sinks a little deeper. We're going to share some commentary and inspirations, and then we'll hear it again to let it sink even deeper. So this is from Abhisheka Paddhati. The Padukas, if you want to visualize, the Padukas are on the throne of Ayodhya. And Vedanta Deshikan is saying, one of these is, this is what he says to the Paduka. He, Sri Rama, may cause you to be anointed into a very lofty position as the sovereign of Ayodhya, or to be touched by his foot. It is indifferent to your glory because you are among those who are endowed with forbearance. So, what difference does it make to you?
We really can't hear the recording.
Oh, really? At all?
Yeah. No, at least I'm not able to hear. No, at all.
That's true,
It's a
Prabhuji.
broken sound.
We cannot
It's
hear.
a broken sound. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry, everyone spoke at the same time. You're not able to hear at all?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just a little like cryptic.
oh, that's such a shame. It's embedded into the PowerPoint.
Prabhuji, you might want to reshare, like stop sharing your screen, then reshare again. And when you reshare, you will be seeing at the bottom there's a checkbox that says optimize for sound and video.
All right, let me see. Share screen. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
All right, I'm going to play and you tell me if you hear it.
अभिषेचयतु स रामपदेन वा स्पृशतु पादुके भवतीम् अविशेषितमहिमा त्वं क्व वा विशेष क्षमा समेतानाम्.
Oh, yes, now you can hear.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So this word Kshama Sameta has two meanings. One, Kshama means the earth or the ground, and Sameta means along with or in contact with. So Vedanta Deshika is saying, Abhishechayatu, may you be, someday Ramachandra will say, sit on the throne and have the royal Abhisheka. Or another time he will say, Rama Padena vas Prushatu, or you may be touched by his feet, which means he's wearing you and walking on the ground. For you, Paduka, it doesn't matter because it does not diminish your glory, Mahima, Avisheshita. It doesn't change, it doesn't degrade your Mahima because you are always in contact with Kshama. You're always in contact with the earth. So when Ramachandra is wearing the Padukas, it is obvious how it is in contact with the ground. The Padukas are touching the ground. When the Padukas are on the throne, still they are in contact with the ground in the sense that as the ruler, the Padukas are always in contact with the earth because they're ruling over the entire kingdom. So that's one meaning of being in contact with the earth, Kshama Sametana. But Vedanta Deshika is not just an ordinary devotee and a poet. There has to be some other meaning as well. We know this word kshama means forbearance or tolerance. And he says, for you, you are extremely tolerant. You are endowed with such glory of forbearance. Mahima, kshama, mahima is so high that for you, it doesn't matter if one day you're given so much honor of being placed on the throne. And on another day, that honor is that you are asked to do something very menial of being under Ramachandra's foot and walking on the ground. So one day you're crushed by his foot. Another day you're placed on the throne of Ayodhya. For you, it doesn't make any difference. Tvam kvava vishesha. How does it matter to you? Because you are so glorious that for you, kshama sameta, you're very, very tolerant. Now, this glory of Paduka is also, in one sense, a reflection of the glory of Sri Ramachandra. She's, after all, serving Ramachandra. So she has the same or similar qualities. We talk about Paduka as the devotees as well, or the spiritual master. And Kshama Sameta is internally their condition is that they are meant for service. They're meant for serving the Supreme Lord. And in part of that service, what title they get, what position they get, what honor they get, what dishonor they may face, has absolutely no relevance to their service, to their service-mindedness. Therefore, the devotees are called Kshama Sameta. Sri Ramachandra walked into Dasharath Maharaja's palace. He was told, it was night time. He was told, you will be the Prince Regent tomorrow. No, he was told earlier in the day, you will be the Prince Regent tomorrow. He smiled. He was grateful to serve the Ikshwaku dynasty in that way. Then later in the night, he was called and he was getting all ready for the next morning's coronation. And in the middle of the night, he was told, oh, by the way, not you, Bharata will be the king and you will be gone to the forest for 14 years. Ramachandra's smile became broader. He was happy. He was happy whether he was the king or he was happy whether he had to go to the forest for 14 years. He not once did he twitch, not once did he question. His face did not change in any way. He didn't even say, oh, what happened? He didn't ask. And they say that Ramachandra did this upon the order of his father, Dasharath Maharaj. If you read Ramayana carefully, Dasharath Maharaj didn't even say, go to the forest. It was Kaikeyi who said it because Dasharatha could not even speak anything. But Dasharath Maharaj's silence was taken as was taken by Ramachandra as agreement. So he took it as that my father wants it so. In fact, he tells Kaikeyi, why does even my father have to say? If you tell me, go right now, I will do it because you love me so much and I know whatever you're doing is for my benefit. That is called Kshama Sametana. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 57, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna and he says, Yaha sarvatra anabhisneha tattat prapya shubha ashubham na bhinindanti na dveshti tasya pragya pratishtitaha. A person's consciousness or intelligence or wisdom or viveka, discrimination is considered very, very fixed. Pratishtita. Tishtha means to sit or to be fixed, and pratishta means firmly fixed. That person who yaha sarvatra, from Prabhupada translates in the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain. neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. And this Paduka is being glorified so. Now we, as devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are also given similar mandate through the Sikshashtaka. Of course, verse number 8 is considered very, very elevated. But in that elevated is for us a mandate to come to that platform of serving without any affection for or distaste for the particular service. We are meant to be attached to being a servant, not necessarily to the expression of a particular service. So in Sikshashtaka we hear, Aslishya va padaratam pinashtumam adarshanan marmahatam karotuva yata tatha va vidadhatu lampato mat prananathas tusa eva na aparaha. Mat prananath, you are the Lord of my heart. Na apar, there is no one else who will take that position. So my love for you, as expressed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the spirit of Srimati Radharani and the gopis of Vrindavan, is one day you may make me super delighted by embracing me and giving me this very, very exalted position with you. Another day you may ignore me or make me completely broken-hearted. Marma hartam karotuva. Doesn't matter how you treat me, because I'm interested in serving you. In the Sri Vaishnava tradition, there's a beautiful story of Arjunacharya, who was the main pujari for Lord Balaji. And at that time, Tirupati, or the hill Tirumala, was a wild forest-like place where he cultivated a beautiful garden of fresh flowers. And every day he would pluck those flowers and make garlands for Lord Balaji. And because it was in the wilderness, one day while he was plucking flowers, a deadly cobra bit him. And the poison was really intense and it was moving towards his heart. Yet he just brushed it aside, continued making the garlands, came and offered the garland to Balaji. And because he's such an amazing devotee, Balaji would regularly speak with him. And Balaji told him, oh, Arjunacharya, you have, Anantacharya, you have a snake bite. It's deadly. Do something about it. Otherwise you will die. And he said, I'm not worried, O Lord. I'm not worried because I'm sure of one thing. That let's take two possibilities. One, that the poison in the cobra is more intense than the poison in my heart. Then I will die. And because I have been serving you all these years, and my spiritual master has said it, so I am sure that I will come to Vaikuntha where I will continue making garlands for you and offering it to you. So in that sense, nothing happens to my service. It continues. But I'm also sure that perhaps the poison in my heart is stronger than the poison of the cobra. Then the cobra's poison becomes nullified. And I will continue living. And if I continue living, I will still pluck the flowers from the garden, make garlands and offer to you. How does it matter to me? So this kind of attachment to serving, regardless of position or stature, one day this, one day that, is Kshama Sameta. And that's what Vedanta Deshika is glorifying. So we'll move to the, before I move to the second verse, I'd like to hear from a couple of you. You have any particular reflection, something that you appreciated from this verse? Before you speak, let me play it one more time.
अभिषेचयतु स रामपदेन वा स्पृशतु पादुके भवतीम् अविशेषितमहिमा त्वं क्व वा विशेष क्षमा समेतानाम्.
Any thoughts, reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble
Oh,
obeisance.
Premananda Mataji, Hare Krishna.
All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. I was just wondering why the recitation is splitting the words halfway through another line. I mean,
So I put it in 4 lines, but the meter is called Geeti, for which the breaking or the pause is different. So I don't know who this person is. I don't know if you know this boy is called Mukunda, but I asked him to sing it in a way, the way I gave him the lines were different. That's why.
I see. Yes. So now, so this you have been studying this for such a long time, Prabhu. So is this is it you are building on the translation, or there are commentaries on this by others, or this is all the meaning of the verse by Vedanta Deshika himself?
No, Vedanta Deshika did not give meanings. The devotees over the years have given meanings. I'm taken particularly from the book that I mentioned earlier that I have. I've taken the translation from that book. But for the sake of this discussion, I have reorganized the translation in a way that it's easier for us to read. The language of the translation is a little archaic or Victorian with the words thou, etc., which is hard to read. But it is someone else's work. All I've done is reorganize the translation and put the Sanskrit words alongside, so we know how it reads for us. And as far as what I'm sharing, most of it is from a commentary, and then there are some reflections like Shikshashtaka verses and the Bhagavad Gita verse, etc. I can't remember the Bhagavad Gita verses in the commentary, but I'm adding because most of us here are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and I'm trying to make it relatable to our teachings of the Goswamis and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'm trying to bridge that gap for us.
Yes, thank you so much. And I was thinking, since spiritual life is all about refinement and further refinement, and really loved the way you are explaining. And this word Kshama Sametanam is something one can meditate upon that forever. And I am so touched by the way of your presentation. I mean, as always. But thank you so much for sharing everything with us, because I don't think these kind of verses can be understood just by reading it, and something to be lived. And thank you a million times.
Oh no, thank you, Mataji. I like this verse particularly because Kshama Sameta is an important characteristic to carry. And the first thing I realized when I was reading this is I don't have that. And so to read it and again think about it is an inspiration to someday have that kind of forbearance and tolerance. But thank you for your comments. It's very encouraging to me. Anyone else? We'll take one more, and otherwise we'll go forward.
Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance, Prabhu. This is Srinivas Sriharidas. How What is the relation, Prabhu? Here you said something about Nammalvar. I missed it actually. What is the relation between Vedanta Desika's Paduka Sahasra and Nammalvar?
It is a glorification of Nammalvar, who's I think called Shatagopan as well. So that
Oh,
it's
you mean
glorifying
Vedanta Desika?
parallelly.
Oh, okay.
He's glorifying the Padukas and the Acharya or the
So
spiritual.
what is relation between them?
Oh, he
Vedanta
came much
Desika and
later in the line. It's just a glorification because Shatagopan is the
I see.
representation of the Padukas.
Okay, so exclusively he kept Nammalvar in the mind and then he glorified. That's what you're saying?
Right? And also the Padukas themselves. Because he's
Oh,
an incarnation of the Padukas.
who?
Nammalvar.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, we had one or two hands up. Is it for this verse or in general?
This verse, Prabhu.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu.
Please accept mine too, Prabhu.
Where you are explaining Shama Shametanam and this verse, my mind went to 2011 South India Yatra when Guru Maharaj was explaining the pastime between Ramanujacharya and Kuresan, one of his primary chief disciple. When Ramanujacharya was instructing Kuresan and he was writing it. And there was one place where Ramanujacharya was explaining in a way that it was sounding like an impersonal explanation. Kuresan did not write. And Ramanujacharya repeated it twice, and still Kuresan did not write. And Ramanujacharya just stopped the dictation and went away. And everybody that was around them at that time were like shocked. Kuresan is like completely surrendered to Ramanujacharya, and they asked him why you did like that. And Kuresan gives a very cryptic answer. I'm just like the footwear. Whenever he wants to wear it, he will come and wear it. If he wants to put it aside, he will put it aside. So none of the people could understand the explanation of that. But Ramanujacharya went and was taking a bath in the river, and why did Kuresan do like that? And then it struck him that the explanation was something like a impersonal thing. So he came back and immediately called Kuresan, come. And then he gave a full, proper bhakti-related explanation, and Kuresan just started writing, and then everybody understood what Kuresan was trying to say. And these words, the explanation, it's brought me that, reminded me that pastime, Prabhu. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, someone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Radha here, and please accept my humble obeisances. I was, since you mentioned the link between the Paduka and the concert of Sri Rama, I was thinking in terms of also the Shama, like, I don't know if it connects the feel of separation, because the Padukas were separated from Lord's lotus feet in one way for like 14 years. And then Srimati Sidmaya also had to go through the separation. And so does the Shama link in any way, like the separation of their verses where this is spoken about?
Yes, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. So I gave you one verse from Abhisheka Paddhati. He goes on verse after verse that deals with this quality, separation, glory, what she's been doing, how she's taking care of the residents of Ayodhya. I mean, one after the other, one after the other. So, like I said, it stretches to such extensive boundaries that it's hard to imagine. But yes, it's there too. Absolutely there. You got it.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, should we do another verse? We have about 20 minutes. We will see how we can do. I actually didn't even think there will be so much conversation. All right, let's do another verse. We'll see how far we get. All right, share sound. This time I'm sure. All right, next verse. Okay. You see this verse from Ratna Samanya Paddhati, verse number 7.
दिदृक्षमाणस्य परं निधानं स्नेहान्विते योगदशाविशेषे संवित्प्रदीपं मणिपादरक्षे संवित्प्रदीपं मणिपादरक्षे सन्दुक्षयन्तीव मरीचयस्ते.
So he's, you could hear the verse, correct? So he's saying, O Mani Padarakshe. Padarakshe is one who protects the feet. So that's the shoes or padukas. And because she's studded with jewels, she is Mani Padarakshe. Your rays seem to kindle the wick in the lamp of bhakti as its flame of cognizance is diminishing. To do so, you pour ghee. As the illumination increases, you reveal the supreme treasure, especially for those who aspire to see him. This verse has what's called a slesha in Sanskrit, which means a pun. It's a play on words. So there is a literal meaning, and then there is a figurative meaning. So the literal meaning is that the jewels in the sandals of the Lord are shining so brightly that they're able to reveal the entire treasure that is there in the temple sanctorum that is dark. I mean, now we have lights. Previously, it was all dark. The pujaris would have to take a lamp. Even now in traditional temples, they will take a lamp and wave around the form of the Lord. So you can see all the beautiful features of his form. So he says that the jewels in the shoes are so bright that by their shine and effulgence, they reveal this beautiful treasure, which is the form of the Lord. And for a devotee who has come from a very long distance to take darshan, the sandals welcome him and say, come, I want to show you that wonderful treasure that you have been wanting to see, this enchanting form of the Supreme Lord. The figurative meaning is that the padukas are extremely, extremely merciful. And they want to inspire a devotee that in the process of their bhakti, that someday they will be able to see the form of the Lord in their heart. Now, he's already there, no doubt. The only issue is that a sadhaka cannot see the form. We hear the verse from Brahma Samhita. Santah sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Viloka is they are manifest for a devotee to see in the heart. But that visibility has to happen by the mercy of the padukas. That they express their compassion. I'm saying they, it is she, expresses her compassion upon the devotee. How? Sneha anvite. Sneha means love or affection. Another meaning is ghee. So we heard the literal meaning that if the padukas act like a lamp, then their compassion is the ghee that makes the wick of the lamp shine brighter, so you can see that beautiful treasure, nidhanam, param nidhanam, the treasure that is hiding there in the temple. So for a didrikshamanasya, for a person desiring to see or take darshan of the Lord. And the word sandhukshaya means it stokes, it inspires. And maricha is the effulgence of the lamp. So he's comparing Padukas to a lamp. Now the figurative meaning is that a devotee who's in the sadhana stage is yoga dasha. Now dasha means this condition, or it also means the wick of the lamp. So the Padukas, out of their sneha, want to make the Lord visible in the heart. Now, if you noticed, when a lamp is burning, over time, as the ghee has been consumed, the effulgence of the lamp diminishes. At that time, you have to do two things. You have to pour more ghee, and then with your finger, move the wick up a little bit. As soon as you move the wick up a little bit, the flame becomes much bigger and brighter. So that is called sandhukshaya, to move the wick up a little bit. So the Padukas, looking at the genuineness of a devotee, very mercifully intervene and reveal the Lord in the heart. And the revelation is through the Jnana Deepa. And that Jnana Deepa in this verse is called Samvit Pradeepa. We know Samvit means cognizance or knowledge, and Pradeepa. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tesham evanukamparthan aham ajnanajam tamaha jnana deepena bhasvata nashayami atma bhavastho jnana deepena bhasvata. There he calls it Jnana Deepa. Here he calls it Samvit Pradeepa. And so the Padukas are, in this case, the spiritual master, looking at the sincerity of the aspiring devotee, stokes and inspires further the bhakti to glow even brighter. And that glowing is the realizations in the heart that are gifted by the spiritual master's mercy, sneha, in such a way that one day the Lord becomes completely revealed in the heart. There is another way of looking at this. The Alvars apparently sing that there is a divine lamp that is being offered, and this divine lamp is that the clay of the lamp, that the body of the lamp is one's bhakti. The spiritual aspirations to want to see the Lord and to serve him is the ghee. It's the essence that's in the heart. And the wick is one's own meditations, one's own intentions. We call them sankalpa sometimes. And the flame is one's realizations. And for this lamp, sandhukshayanti is that it needs the intervention and mercy of the Guru to glow even brighter. We have 10 more minutes. I want to pause and see if you have any reflections on this verse or the previous one. You like these verses? Are they sweet and attractive to you?
Absolutely.
Any reflections on any inspirations? Have you had that experience where the intervention of sadhus or the spiritual master suddenly stoked the flame of bhakti to become brighter?
I feel like I'm now nobody to share any such realizations, but one thing is very, very clear, and it is getting clearer and clearer, that one is so totally dependent upon the mercy of the spiritual master, and it manifests always. It is so visible. And so this, what you explained is, of course, this is written by such saintly personalities. And I don't think, again, I feel like I have no capacity to understand these kind of verses, but you have digested it and put it in an understandable form, which again reinforces our own teachings that we are totally dependent on the mercy of our spiritual master. Thank you for again enlightening on that. Thank you. I really am enjoying this.
Thank you. And from that side, the spiritual master is very eager as well to help and stoke that flame of bhakti. Any other thoughts?
Yes, Prabhu, I had one thought.
Yeah.
Whenever Guru Maharaj visits, just by his association, there is that eagerness and the intensity to do bhakti goes up. And I wonder, like, why after that it just keeps dwindling down, but he keeps giving more and more and more always. And as you were explaining, a guru will focus is to get the disciple to see that Supreme Lord within one's heart, and it exactly describes our Guru Maharaj very much. And it also reminded me of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song where he says Prema Pradipe Arati Tomar. The same sentiment I could recollect from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words.
So 3 things to remember from this verse. I mean, I'll share the verses, of course. 3 things. And that's very much our philosophy as well. First is didrikshamana. That means in ours, there should be an intention to want to achieve that stage of bhakti where we can fully perceive the presence of the Lord in our heart. Didrikshamana. And as long as the didrikshamana aspect is strong and blossoming and progressive, it won't happen unless there is from the Guru side, who is the embodiment of sneha anvite. Anvite means along with, or sneha anvite, that his love and affection, or I should say their love and affection, is such that sandhukshayanti, they will stoke it, they will inspire it further, they will make it grow. So these 3 words to remember from this verse: didrikshamana, snehanvite, sandhukshayanti. And that's the lamp we want to glow. And because it is Dipavali, I have other verses that are all lamp related, but we didn't have the time for it. So anything else? Well, I see Hemangi online.
Hare Krishna. You know, this verse was reminding me of the very first verse that Prabhupada gives us in Bhagavad Gita, Om Ajnanatimmirandasya, where Narottam Das Thakur is saying that, you know, this darkness is dissipated by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, which is like the light. And the spiritual master is giving you the Sambandha Gyan, like, you know, who you are, who is Krishna, and what is our relationship with Krishna. So somehow when you were explaining this to me, I was remembering that very first, like how Prabhupada, the very first verse he ever introduces us to in Bhagavad Gita is this verse of Narottam Das Thakur of Om Ajnanatimmirandasya. Yes, I was just appreciating the parallels, you know.
Yes, and there is one more verse in this series that will come back to the Ajnana Timirandasya. Very particularly, he talks about Ajnana and Timira Andha, particularly is coming up too. But yes, you're right. The whole idea is, if you see Paduka Sahasram as the, of course, the glory of the Paduka, no doubt about it, and side by side, the glory of the Vaishnavas and the spiritual master, it makes so much sense. At every point, the devotee will glorify that how the spiritual master has removed the darkness of illusion, the darkness of Timira Andha, very dark, and moha from the heart to allow for the presence of the Lord. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the beautiful verses. And the
Wow.
devotees have really sung so well. It is like I can hear over and over again. I was literally tearing up, how devotional it enhances the meditation actually.
Right. And that's made the request for the devotees who have done such an amazing job of singing. There are more there. So
Looking
okay.
forward.
We'll end a few minutes earlier if no one else has anything. Oh, Sundarananda Das. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my obeisances. It's a wonderful session, Prabhu. Thank you for explaining this to us. I wanted to respond to you how this relates in my life, like you were asking. So definitely, I had this experience, like many devotees probably share also, that whenever we go in association of spiritual master, it doesn't necessarily need to be individual one-on-one association, but even if it's a group class, the experience is whatever we are struggling with in our bhakti path, in our progress in spiritual life, that next step becomes visible in the association. For me, when I go to particular retreat or association, I find the next point I need to focus on. So, like you're saying, is the next step. Spiritual master is always graceful, and it comes out with his grace. What is the exact thing that each of us need in his association, like that. Too. Thank you, Prabhu.
And the spiritual master is such an expert that he's constantly, I'm using the word he, but he or she is constantly encouraging. But the expertise is, therefore we sing Ati Dakshat. He's very, very expert. That sometimes they do it directly and sometimes they do it through other agents, other devotees. But the mercy is coming from one source. It may, like a river, have little tributaries, but it's still the same river and it's flowing.
Wow. Yes, Prabhu. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Question.
I'll end with a funny story of how the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master intervene. Like I said, it can happen in any different way. Sometimes it's words of encouragement, sometimes it's chastisement, sometimes it is something. For each one of us at different points in time, there are different inspirations. So there's one young man who had joined an ashram somewhere in New Zealand, I think, and was in the ashram for a while, liked it. But since he was very young, he also felt that maybe I'm missing out on living life to its fullest extent, whatever his consideration was. And so went back to contacting his girlfriend. And they decided to meet at a certain cafe on a particular day. And he was going to basically tell her that as much as I enjoy the ashram, I miss your company. I want to be with you. Maybe this is not the time for me, etc. And the other devotees and the spiritual master told him, I don't think you should head back in that direction. But he said, no, I want to do it. So he went and sat in that restaurant and he was waiting for his girlfriend to come. And he was waiting and waiting. I guess he was a few minutes late. So this young man narrates that a stranger just walked into the restaurant, and he thought anyone was walking into a restaurant. That stranger walked up to him, looked at him, and gave him one tight slap, turned around and walked away. And he never saw the person again. He didn't know why that stranger came and slapped him. But at that moment, he got this awakening that Krishna does not want me to go in this direction that I'm going in. Got up and went back to the ashram. I mean, that was his experience. That the intervention was so timely and helpful for him, apparently. I went back straight to the ashram. So, Sandhukshayanti. So let's not have a stereotypical idea of Sandhukshayanti. It has to be very necessarily, in a very gentle this way. Love is love, sometimes tough love, but it happened for that person in that way. All right, let's end here. We're an hour. Thank you very much for joining. I hope this was beneficial to you. These two verses and the audio I will share on the WhatsApp group. If you'd like to hear and let it enter deep in, please feel free. And I hope that you will join again next Sunday, same time. We'll look at a few more verses from Ratna Samanya Paddhati. Thank you very much. Shri Paduka Devi ki jai. Shri Vedanta Deshika ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Go Premanande.